Welcome to A Day in Her Life podcast. I'm your host, Ellie Rinnick, and I am fascinated by how other women make their days work. On today's episode, Sandy Coe, founder and principal of Customer Contact Women, joins me to discuss her days. Sandy shares how she got into event planning operations with a background in music education and how she founded CC Women out of her own need to learn from other female leaders. I loved hearing how Sandy is on a journey to only snooze her alarm once, how she strategizes and plans for her commute, and how she fosters relationships with her team. Sandy's love language is quality time, and as an event planner, that seems so fitting. Hear how she makes time for relationships with friends and how her fiancé treats her by planning date nights. This conversation was so much fun. A huge thank you to Sandy for being a guest. You can learn more about Sandy by following her on LinkedIn or by following CC Women Strong on Instagram. And since we don't have any sponsors on A Day in Her Life, if you're listening and want to sponsor us, hit me up. I wanted to share about an organization doing good. Cocoa Tree Kids is a 501c3 with a simple mission to ensure that every child has access to clean underwear. Underwear is one of the most needed and least donated items of clothing, and it can drastically impact a child's self-esteem and well-being. If you're not in Massachusetts and would like to donate more locally, please consider donating underwear to a local shelter or organization assisting at-risk youth. And as always, thank you for spending a part of a day in your life with A Day in Her Life. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to thank you for your listenership. As we begin to expand, your support is invaluable, and I've got a few things to ask of you today. If you're enjoying our conversations, stories, and insights on A Day in Her Life, there are a few things that would mean the world to me. First, if you could take a moment to review the podcast on Spotify or podcasts, that would be amazing. Your reviews are like gold. They help us grow and reach more ears. Secondly, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the A Day in Her Life newsletter on adayinherlife.com. It's a great way to stay in the loop and get some exclusive content straight to your inbox. Each week, I share my 5 favorite finds, as well as the dinners my family are eating and some occasional thoughts. This week, I'm actually sharing a gift guide of items recommended by or created by guests on the podcast. And lastly, if you're on Instagram, please give us a follow on A Day in Her Life pod. Whether you're on podcast, Spotify, or any other platform, don't forget to leave a review on A Day in Her Life, subscribe to the newsletter, and follow us on Instagram. Your actions can make a huge difference for the podcast. Thank you as always for your incredible support. I apologize for my voice. I have 2 children during 6th season, and they have gifted me something great. And now, let's have some fun. Welcome to A Day in Her Life podcast. Today, Sandy Coe is joining me to discuss a day in her life. Hi, Sandy. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's an honor.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you. So if you wouldn't mind, could you set the scene for us? Tell us where you live, what you do, what your household looks like, and kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Sandy Coe. I am the founder and principal of Customer Contact Women, CC Women, and currently I reside in Jersey City, New Jersey with my fiance. We are just a train ride away from New York City where our office is based, CC Women and CMP. Our office is based in New York, right next to Bryant Park and Grand Central. And as the founder of CC Women and just CC Women in general, it is a community by women for women and allies in customer contact. And our purpose is to support, celebrate, and connect women in the industry. And our mission is to revolutionize the customer contact industry through community, one woman at a time. And CC Women, what we do is we offer content. So a lot of toolkits, resources, just articles, editorial pieces featuring women in business and topics that are relevant to women in business and women in customer contact. We want to have resources, tangible resources for women everywhere, because a lot of the topics we cover, they also resonate and very much applicable to all women who are working women or women in business or just women in general. So we want to provide these resources. We also have a podcast called Thirsty Thursday, where we feature women and it publishes every other week. We also have our website where we host all of these different content and resources. And then we also have a CC Women membership where we have a book club that takes place quarterly. We also have invitation to member-only events. We have networking events for like-minded peers. And then we also offer some personalized services catered to help you achieve and meet your professional goals. So all of this, and we also have some live events for CC Women. So we have 3 CC Women Summits throughout the year that are part of the greater Customer Contact Week events. And anybody is welcome to join. We are Customer Contact Women, but we are an inclusive community where we do allow and we welcome men as well as our allies and any woman who is a working woman.
Awesome. And is this mostly for women who are like in customer facing roles? Is that kind of the demographic?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah. So yes, a lot of our attendees and our community is mostly all women who are in the customer contact industry. However, we know that if you're in marketing or if you're in sales development, business development, or if you're in HR, a lot of these topics can also be applied to you, and you can find these topics and resources helpful as well. So we encourage other women in other industries, other departments to join us as well.
If you wouldn't mind, let's go through your day. So what does your day look like, Sandy? So kicking off with your morning, walk me through what your day looks like.
Absolutely. So I am not a morning person, so it's difficult for me to wake up in the morning, especially during like the fall winter time. But I usually wake up between 6:45 and 7 a.m. And I try to only hit snooze once because I feel like if I hit it more than once, the day is going to be more difficult. So I try to hit snooze once. I'm usually up by 7 a.m. and I get ready for the day with a shower because it wakes me up. So after a shower, I do my skincare, very basic. I also do all of my hair, and all of that usually takes me about like 15 to 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then I think the biggest thing after waking up in the morning is picking out my outfit. That usually just takes some time for me depending on the weather. Do I want to wear this? Do I want to wear that? So I have tried to make it easier to pick out my outfits in the morning and just kind of narrowing down and cleaning my closet a little bit. So pick out my outfit, and then I pack my breakfast or snacks for the day. I'm usually in the office on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So anytime I'm in the office, I usually grab some snacks. So egg bites from Starbucks by way of Costco, by the way. It's much cheaper to buy them in bulk from Costco than going to Starbucks every morning. So I have the egg bites, and then I have a seltzer. I always drink a seltzer. We're a big seltzer household. So we have, again, Costco, thank you. And Costco, if you want to sponsor me, great. But a lot of seltzer. And then usually have a fruit, like usually an apple or some berries of some kind. And then I always have like a yogurt as well too. So get all my snacks, breakfast, all of those. And then I'm usually at the door by 7:45, 8 a.m. And I take the path to 33rd Street in New York City since my office is based in this city. So take the path, takes about 20 minutes. And then I take the subway. I take the BDFM, the Orange Line, and I get off at Bryant Park and I walk a couple of minutes to the office. I'm a huge coffee person, so I always start the day off with a cup of coffee. And usually when I'm in the office, I pick up a coffee on my way in. And my order, if anybody's interested, it's a venti iced Americano with almond milk and a dash of cinnamon. So I always order that, pick that up from Starbucks. My go-to coffee is from La Colombe. And there is one nearby, like on the other side of Bryant Park, but it's like completely out of the way for me in the morning. So I just avoid that. I'm like, Starbucks it is, that's fine. And I pick that up. It's on the way to the office. So I pick up the coffee and then I walk to our office, which is about like a 5-6-ish minutes away from Bryant Park. And because it's also located right next to Grand Central, there's a lot of like foot traffic there. So I'm like, okay, let me pre-order my coffee, making sure like everything is okay. There's no like any commuter traffic, but it's usually busy on the streets during that time. It's like right on Fifth Avenue. So after picking up that coffee and walking into my office, I am usually in the office between 8:30, 8:45. I usually try to get there by 8:45 because our workday, it begins at 9 a.m. But I really like to get to the office a little bit earlier, between like 8:30 and 8:45, to just get situated and have some time to myself. I think having that time before the day begins, that's really important to me. So once I arrive, I put all my snacks and drinks in the mini fridge on my desk. And you might be wondering, Sandy, does your office not have a refrigerator? We do. We have a kitchen. We have a coffee machine. We have a refrigerator. But I received the mini fridge as a present from my mother-in-law. So I have that on my desk and I stock it with all of my snacks and my seltzers. And sometimes my colleagues will stick some of their like snacks and stuff into my fridge as well too. So I have a cute little mini fridge on my desk. And then I also fill up my water bottle. I know in a previous episode, Ellie, one of your guests talked about the importance of hydration. And I was like, yes, that is important. So I'll always have like a seltzer, a water bottle, a coffee on my desk. Lots of drinks to keep myself hydrated. And then I start my day. My calendar is also usually blocked from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. almost every single day, unless there's like an urgent call or something urgent comes up. But I really give myself that time, that hour, to catch up on all emails from the previous day or work on anything urgent. Some days I feel like, you work late and you just can't do anymore. So if it's not urgent, you push it to the next day because it's still going to be there. So during that hour, I usually like to catch up, go through any of my team's messages, anything I've missed. So that hour is very important to me. And that's how I start my day off. Then the day is not so exciting, I guess, because it's always filled with calls. And sometimes I'm sure a lot of other people, listeners here, can also relate that you're just sometimes on calls all day or in meetings all day. So those days are difficult just because I'm bouncing from like conference room to conference room or Zoom to Zoom, and you don't get to really check your emails or your messages or anything like that. So, but on the rare occasion that my day isn't filled with meetings and calls, I am focused on the next CC Women event that we have. And the joke is, which isn't really a joke anymore, but the joke is there's always another event for us. So we always have another event coming up the next month, in a couple of weeks, things like that. So I'm always preparing, making sure our agenda is good to go. Our speakers are good to go. Everything is up to date. And connecting with my team of 3, including myself. So it's a small team, but the 3 of us work really well together to just prepare for the next event or to publish the next content piece. So I'm always preparing and there to support my team if I'm not on calls all day. And I do have to say, I have a love-hate relationship with coming into the office. And like one of my favorite things about coming to the office is I get to take time for lunch with my coworkers. And working from home, I usually jump from one thing to the next without really thinking about lunch. But in the office, usually when it's all filled with calls and meetings, there's always a pocket of time right at noon that my coworkers and I just step out for lunch, whether it's just grabbing it and coming back and just holding up in a conference room together for a couple of minutes and just eating and talking. But I enjoy coming to the office because I get to spend some really good quality time with my coworkers. And we have a couple of places that we go to because our office is like right in like the Bryant Park, Grand Central area. There's a lot of different places we can eat. And usually we go to Urban Spaces, which is a food hall. We go to Sophie's, which is a Cuban place we love. We'll go to Chipotle or Dig, Sweet Green, and then we go to Katsuhama, which is like a katsu place nearby. And we kind of save that for like special occasions. So anytime there's like a new hire or there's like something to celebrate, we usually go there. And it's a nice little treat for all of us because we get to take some time off during our busy day just to eat and just to mingle and talk with our coworkers. So that's what usually lunch looks like. And then after lunch, we have our CC Women weekly meeting. So our team of 3, again, small team. But we do take the time to meet face to face once a week and just catch up on what's ahead of us, talk about strategy, some of the challenges that we're facing. How do we mitigate all of that? But it also gives us time to brainstorm, innovate, and just also talk about what's going on in our lives. So yesterday we had our CC Women Weekly, and I think we talked about getting married and planning for a wedding. I'm planning my wedding right now, so we were talking a lot about that, and then just talking about personal experiences. So we were talking about that. The week before that, I believe we talked about running, because our marketer, Emily, she's a runner. She does marathons and half marathons. She's a runner. So we talked about running. So a great hour dedicated just to get to know our fellow teammates a little bit more. And again, we talk shop, we talk business, but it's a great way for us to also connect with each other personally. So we have that CC Women Weekly meeting. And then after that, I have my greater production team weekly. So the production team really consists of all the event producers, so all the conference directors and the coordinators. And what we do is we create the agenda for the events, and then we also recruit speakers and making sure that the flow, the agenda topics, the speakers, all of those different factors are good to go and ready for our next CCW event. So there's 10 of us on the team, and we take that 30 minutes that we have and we kind of do a little bit of everything. We talk shop. We've been taking a lot of different tests and quizzes. Like we've been taking BuzzFeed tests, personality tests, and then we also bring snacks. We recently had a bring your own snack kind of time where we all brought snacks. Our entire conference room table was filled with snacks. So we just take this opportunity, this 30 minutes that we have, just to be with one another. And it's another time that I really look forward to on Wednesdays, especially when I'm in the office, because I think our team is just really amazing, talented people from different backgrounds, different experiences and cultures. And we are such a close-knit group. And I know it's going to sound very cliche, but we love hanging out with each other, even outside of work. So that sounds really weird, but we really, we work well together, but we're all also very much into our personal lives. So we'll talk about how your parents are doing, how are your siblings and your children, your fur children are doing. And then we have team outings. So we'll indulge in an all you can eat Korean barbecue, and we just enjoy each other's company a lot. So it's nice to just see your fellow team mates, your coworkers, and it's not just about work, but we can talk about all these other things that are happening outside of work as well too. So really enjoy the 30 minutes of the time that we have together. And then after that, we have either more calls or more emails that I need to respond to, but my day usually wraps up at 5. Most days I do leave at 5, but there are days when I stay a little bit longer to wrap up anything that's urgent, anything I need to take care of. So once that's done, I make my way back home to New Jersey. Sometimes I will go to dinner with my friends or my fiance, but when I don't have any plans, I am usually back home by 6 or 6:30. And if my fiance happens to work from his office, which is also in the city, then we can come home together, which is kind of nice. And then this isn't the best thing I do, but being totally honest here and vulnerable, when I do go into the office and if I come home by myself, I have no plans afterwards, I usually crash on the couch, just to decompress. So yesterday, really exposing myself here, but yesterday I got home around 6:30. Stayed a little bit later, 6:37. And then I think I crashed from 8 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. I was just out. And I don't know, I know, I don't know how we used to go into the office every day before COVID and waking up early, getting ready, going to the office and do everything else. But yesterday, Wednesdays, whenever I go into the office, I feel just the commuting, it takes so much energy out of me. So sometimes I'm just in bed and I'm or on the couch, knocked out. So, not so fun, but I think I would just need that rest. And then my fiance comes home and then we have dinner together and we just talk about our day. And and we watch reality TV. And one of the guilty pleasures that we do, we actually are big fans of like Love is Blind. The
Hmm.
season was disappointing.
Same,
If
agree.
anybody, right, if anybody's watching or a big fan of Love is Blind, season 5 was a little bit disappointing. And then we just finished watching 90 Day Fiance, The Last Resort. So reality shows, we also watch Below Deck, but he is a big reality TV fan as well too. So that's our kind of guilty pleasure and how we unwind our day. And then we do a little bit of wedding planning if we have some things to do. And we're in bed usually between 10 and 12. This is kind of like what a day when I'm going to the office looks like. And truthfully, that's kind of like been the norm, not taking the nap every day, but just like taking time to decompress.
Hmm.
And that's been kind of the norm more and more just because I've been traveling pretty frequently. So even days when it should be like normal, quote unquote, it just has been changing very frequently. So we haven't had a normal or consistent day in a long time, if that all makes sense.
Absolutely. And I totally understand the need to decompress after being around
Hmm.
coworkers and colleagues because it feels like a little bit draining to be on all the
Yeah.
time when you're used to a little bit more virtual work sometimes.
Hmm.
What does you mentioned dinner in your household? What does dinner look like? Do you guys cook often? Do you guys order out a lot? What does your dinner look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the good thing about dinner is that we usually outsource it. We do like meal kits. When we first moved in together, I tried to cook and I was like, yeah, I can cook. No, I can't. It's really exhausting. And really kudos to all the women out there working all day, coming home. And a lot of folks have children as well too, or, they're caretakers. So the fact that you guys are cooking, really big kudos because I tried that for a while, did not work. And then we tried to take turns cooking. That didn't work. We were just so tired. So we started outsourcing our meals. So we have a local gym that does like meal prep. So we did that for a little bit, and now we're on the Eat Clean Bros kick. It's like native and local to New Jersey. So one day we were running and we saw that truck go by, and we're like, oh my gosh, we should try that out. So right now we're on the Eat Clean Bros kick, and using their meal delivery kit to fuel our lunches and dinners.
That's awesome. It's so hard. I personally
Yeah,
love to cook, but it makes it really hard when there's a deadline and you've got screaming children. So like it kind of sucks the fun out of it.
yeah.
And having it prepared for you is such a nice feature of the current convenience economy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
How do you stay organized? So you've got a lot going on, different events, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different stuff. What are your tools for organization? Is it G Suite? Is it some other app? What
Yeah.
do you use?
I use the Notes app on my phone, on the laptop, and I know a lot of other folks, guests on your podcast have used the Notes app. I know you use it as well. It's just so easy for me. The Google Suite is great, but just for accessibility, I keep a running to-do list for work, where every day I write exactly what I need to do and cross them off as I go. Sometimes the lists are really long, but I try to prioritize things that are easy to do and things I like doing, and then kind of putting off the things that I don't love doing, which probably isn't the best way to go about it. But I feel that if I just kind of put things off and get things done that I really enjoy doing, I can get through my list a little bit quicker and get to those things I kind of dread a little bit. So
Mm,
definitely everything is written down. Otherwise I forget it. So that notes app, I am feverishly writing all the to-dos, all the things I have to do. Otherwise I will probably just forget everything and miss all my deadlines. I also use our Outlook calendar. Our company uses Outlook, so using that calendar reminder too. I always say like send a reminder deadline email or the calendar invite to myself, so I know that some things are coming up, things I need to work on, to give myself plenty of time, so I don't feel so rushed to get things done.
absolutely. And how are you organizing your wedding planning? Are you using the notes app for that too, or do you have some?
Yes. Yeah. So we're using our notes app just to kind of also just keep a running list of things that we need to do. The good thing, and we're using Google, like the Excel, the Google Sheet as well too. The great thing is my fiance is super involved. He's been doing we've been dividing up the tasks like half and half. So like he does this, I do that. So it's been really nice for him to just like take charge and do whatever we need to do for our wedding. So that's been nice. But the notes it's been a super useful tool just to organize not only my work life, but my personal life as well too.
How do you make time for yourself during the day? What are some things that you do for yourself?
I feel like there's not enough time in the day to do something that's like actually like huge for myself. I think when we think of like what do you do for yourself, it's like something grandiose. But I realize that with the schedule that I have and a million things just like going on, and I'm sure it's like the same for others too. I try to do small things throughout the day that make me happy or that feels really good to me. And the first thing I do, it's always the coffee in the morning. I love the smell of coffee and just the taste of coffee too with the almond and the cinnamon. So I really take time to get coffee in the morning for myself and just like fueling my body with caffeine to just kind of kickstart my day. And then I also listen to podcasts too. I listen to Up First, the comment section, This American Life, and then your podcast as well too, Ellie. It's very interesting to just hear from other women and what they are doing in their day-to-days and what it looks like. So listen to podcasts. I read. I used to read a lot, but just with the traveling and all the things going on with launching CC Women and the platform itself, it's been time consuming. So I try to read as much as I can with the small pockets of time that I have. And then I also listen to music. I was a music education major from Rutgers. So I really do love all types and kinds of music. So like when you say, what's my favorite music? I really don't have one. But recently I've discovered, I think Laufey, I think that's how you say her name, but it's very calming and like jazzy and soothing. So I've been listening to all things Laufey there. So things like this, I know it seems very mundane or very like, oh, that's what I do every day. But like these things I really treasure doing for myself, even if it's just for a short period of time or something very small.
Absolutely. It's nice to have some like the micro dosing of
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
self moments.
absolutely.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, I am reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I just started it. And I was like, I don't want to put it down, but like I have to. So I'm excited to get through the entire book. Hopefully I can get through it quickly.
I really loved that book.
Yeah.
I read it really quickly. I was on a beach
Yeah.
vacation and I just couldn't put it down. It was
Okay.
luckily I had that opportunity because I was there.
Yeah.
But it's a great book. Have you read her other books?
I have not. This is my first time
The other one.
reading a book by her. But if you have recommendations of like for her other books or other books in general, I am all ears. I'm always up for podcasts, book recommendations, any of those things. Really love to discover other authors and musicians and other podcasts as well too. So would love all the recommendations here.
She's written another books like The Mysterious Life or The Something Life of A.J. Fickrey, which was a really beautiful book. And I usually share what I've read for the month on Instagram at the beginning of the next month. I just read another book that I loved, Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. She's a fantastic author. I've read both of her books, but her most recent one was really, really good.
I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check I'll have to go through your Instagram posts and like write everything down in my notes app.
I know. Notes app is where I put everything too. Yeah. So you mentioned that you majored in music education and then got into event planning operations, et cetera. Could you kind of take us through that progression or kind of how you got from music to events?
Absolutely. It's a very weird career trajectory, but I've always loved music. I started playing the clarinet when I was in the third grade, and it's just something I really enjoyed and excelled at. And then I went to Rutgers for music ed. I always wanted to be a teacher too. So it was like right in my realm of like things I really loved doing. And then during college, I was also part of the Douglas campus. They had like a student government, and I was part of like the event planning committee. And then for the music school I was in, I was also like the student government over there. I did the event planning side of things. So I really just enjoyed event planning and organizing things. So when I was student teaching at Rutgers, it was for a semester. It was, I think, one of the hardest times of my life. We had to wake up super early and like teach all day. And then I had to go to rehearsals afterwards, and then part-time jobs. So it was like a really difficult time in my life, but I'm so glad I went through that. And I'm so glad I was like planning events on the side for student government and all of that, because after I graduated, I realized my passion wasn't in music anymore or teaching music anymore. So I worked at a Montessori school for, I think, a year or two, and I realized I wanted to do something else. And that was event planning, something that I was really great at and something I really enjoyed. So kind of changed my career path here. And I ended up doing the operations side of events. So all the logistics behind events. And I was really good at it. So I just kind of continued down that path of event planning. I took a hobby, and then I turned it into my full-time job. So did always at the operational side of events. And then coming to this company, customer management practice, I decided to apply for a job that had nothing to do with like the operational side, but more of the like the agenda and content side. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it, but I know I have enough event experience and event knowledge to kind of make that shift. So I did. And ever since then, it's just kind of clicked for me. I was kind of scared that like my hobby wasn't going to be, I guess, strong of a passion or something that I'd be good at in terms of like, oh, I did this as like a side gig while I was in college. But now I am, full-time job in events, doing the content side of things, and then creating CC Women, because I started producing the customer contact week events, the larger events for customer management practice, and then created CC Women off the backside of CCW. So that's been my career trajectory, and it's been a really weird and wild ride. And whenever someone says like, oh, well, how do you imagine like your career in like 5 years? To be honest with you, I don't know, because it's been such a whirlwind of a career where I thought this is what I wanted, but then like life gave me something completely different things that I didn't even expect. So if anybody asked me like, what do you think you're going to be doing in 5 years? I don't know. But I do love what I'm doing now. And I'm glad that all the things that I've gone through and all the experiences, all the jobs that I've had kind of led me to this, to where I am today. So weird career, but very grateful for the experiences that I've had.
Absolutely. That's awesome. How do you make time for relationships with your friends during the week?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one I've been really thinking about, because I realize that my love language, if people are into that, is quality time. So I am very intentional about making plans with people in my life. Again, event planner, I like to plan and do all the logistics. So I love making plans, and I reach out to friends. I reach out to family, just to hang out or grab dinner, grab drinks. I know that sometimes, it does get difficult because I travel often for work, and then my friends' schedules are really busy. And a lot of my friends actually have kids. So with kids involved and their own personal lives with like jobs and all of that, it's just very difficult, which I understand. So I always try to make the plans, or luckily, my friends are always very good about making plans with me as well too. So if I haven't seen them in a while, they'll say, hey, let's go out to dinner, and vice versa. So very good about making those times. And I mentioned before, if I'm in the office like Wednesdays, I'll always like try to meet up with my friends afterwards because I'll be in the city. Most of them are in the city too, so it's easy for me to just like make plans with them. With my fiance, he plans date nights and things for us to do. So I know it sounds weird because I plan events for a living, and so I shouldn't have any issues planning date nights, but he is very good at planning all of our date nights and finding things for us to do and finding new restaurants for us to try. So I really appreciate like he does all of that.
I
And
love that.
then
It's
my
so nice to
sister
like
and
have that taken
yeah,
off your plate because
yeah,
it's one of those like decision fatigue. You're deciding so many date night or deciding so many events during the day. Like
yeah,
it's another thing sometimes, and it's
yeah.
really nice that it's off your plate.
Yeah, it's really nice because he'll always send suggestions and I'm like, how did you even think about this? Like I thought I knew like, all the activities that are going on, but he'll always send me something like I never expect. So I was like, oh, this is good. So he's very good about doing all of that, which again, very much appreciate him doing. And then just like with my sister too. So my sister and I are super close and she's 2 years younger than I am. But she lives out in Pittsburgh. So we text all day, we FaceTime each other, and I always text her just to seek advice or her thoughts. We always send each other memes on Instagram all the time. And we just have a good time just connecting over FaceTime or just text all day. And then I just visited her recently. I drove out there. It's about a 6-hour ride from Jersey. And we just had the best time. I think we didn't do much, but just like being in each other's presence and just like, hey, you want to go grab a croissant? Or hey, you want to go pick some apples and like buy some apple cider from the farm? Like, yeah, sure. So like, really trying to um, be intentional as well too, just spending a lot of time with my sister because I miss her. She's so far. So,
Yeah,
so yeah.
that's so sweet. How do you What is something that you are currently deprioritizing in your day or something that just doesn't fit in your life currently?
Yeah. I usually let the laundry pile up and I leave dishes in the dishwasher or the sink too long. But the trade off is I get to be a couch potato for a little bit longer. So I know some days, some days you just need to sit on the couch and think about nothing and decompress and like sometimes mindlessly scrolling through social media. So sometimes the laundry won't get done or the dishes will be just sitting there for a little bit. Or I'll have like pockets of clutter throughout the apartment. And I feel bad because my fiance is very clean. He's a cleaner too. So, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't make the bed today, for example. I just didn't have time. Like it was like either grabbing a seltzer or, being on time for work or whatever it is. But the biggest thing, I think it's like the clutter, the laundry pile and the dishes as well too. And that just kind of means like I get to do nothing for a little bit longer, which is great.
I can understand those trade-offs.
Yeah.
What hobbies do you have right now outside of work? But what are some things that kind of
Yeah.
keep you intrigued outside of work?
So I mentioned the reading. I do love the reading. And there's like 3 other things that I usually do. Walking is a big hobby of mine. Our apartment is luckily like we have a great view of the Hudson River. We're 2 blocks away from the Hudson River and we're like right across from the New York City skyline. So love taking walks by the water. And in that same note, I just started running in August. So my fiance is a big runner as well too. So he's marathons, half marathons, all of 5Ks. He's a big runner. So I bamboozled myself and signed up for a pizza 5K in September. And I was like, sure, I get free pizza afterwards. Why not? Well, I could go buy the pizza right now, but I was like, you get pizza after you run. So started training for the 5K, did the 5K, and now I'm just kind of continuing that training. It took me so long to be comfortable with like running a mile. So I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
And I also bought a lot of like running gear, which is not cheap. So I wanna continue on my hobby of running. It's not so terrible after you're okay with the first mile. So running is a hobby that I'm trying to do more frequently, like usually 2-3 times. So 3 times is like the average, but 1 or 2 times right now when I'm not like really when I'm super busy and I don't have an immediate 5K to run. So walking and running are two things that I've been doing. And then the last thing is I picked up golf, I believe during COVID or maybe a year or two ago. I wish I had more time to play golf, and I wish I just had more time to play frequently, because Jersey City is like very much like there's not enough land for like all these golf like practices. There's like golf courses, but I'm not ready for that yet. So if there were more like practice ranges that were nearby, that would be great. But I did pick up golf, and am I great? Absolutely not. Can I hit straight? Sometimes, like maybe like 50% of the time, but it's something that I do enjoy. Doing, practicing, even if it gives me grief. It's a sport that I've learned that I need to be patient with, and it just takes time. And it's fun when you're able to hit it straight and far. So that's another hobby that I'm working on and just enjoying perfecting, so to say.
I am also dabbling in golf, but
Oh,
poorly myself as well.
yeah.
It's fun to try.
It sure is. It really is fun. I think it's just there's a lot of things you have to remember. Like you need to remember the grip, the swing, and then the way your hips are like swinging
Yep.
and your back. I'm like, oh goodness, like. And
Sometimes
I
I
already
think I
bought
need to
like golf gear, so.
No, totally. And sometimes I feel like I need to I took a golf lesson. I was like, I wish I'd recorded this so that I could just like rewatch it every
See,
time I go to the
yeah,
driving range, like get
yeah,
practice.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because like you like when I see other people's like their golf videos or like when they're swinging, I'm like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. But then like, what am I doing wrong? So
Yeah,
having that like visual would be great to help me like correct my form.
absolutely. So you mentioned starting CC Women out of an offshoot of another organization within your overall
Mhm.
company. I've been asking a lot of guests recently about mentorship and how they found uh, a group or a peer group of women to really bump ideas off of or
Mhm.
build that community. And so would love to hear how I think when we were talking earlier, you mentioned kind of building it because you needed it. So kind of how did you do that?
Yeah. So as going way back, my family and I moved to the States when I was 6 years old from South Korea. So, we did not have family. We didn't really have anybody. So it was kind of, we were on our own. And going through school, going through college, going through my career, I really didn't have like that mentor or guide or anybody really to look up to in terms of like professional career. So I will have to say that I am a late bloomer, and I was super jealous of like all my friends who, left our hometown, went to New York, went to LA, and like, thriving, making all this money and just being successful. And here I am like in my 20s still living at home and like not really sure what I want to do with my life. I was like, I know I'm good at this, but I'm still living at home. Like, what am I doing wrong? I just like couldn't figure that out. So when I came to customer management practice, the company that I'm at now, I was producing our flagship event, the Customer Contact Week event. So my first event was in June in Las Vegas, and I realized that our advisory board consisted of a lot of really talented, really ambitious, successful, like executive women in like Fortune companies. And I was like, wait a minute. I would never guess like they could be like really cool and just like down to earth and really giving of their time and their advice. So I kind of wanted to know, like, selfishly, like, how are they so successful? Like, what are they doing? Like, I need to learn all of their secrets. I need to absorb all of that. So, selfishly, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I just need to spend more time with them. Like, let me see what I can do. So, the last day of a conference for that, for our October event, actually, after the June event, it's our October event in the fall, I was like, let's have a 7 a.m. mimosa breakfast on the last day of a conference because that's smart. Like everybody will come. Um, but people showed up. Some of the members of the advisory board who were on site, they came, and it was just like an hour of women just talking to each other and just talking about work, talking about the customer contact industry, how it affects them as a woman, how it affects them as a woman leader. And that just kind of informal 7 a.m. mimosa breakfast out of my own selfish need kind of kicked off. Like it resonated with a lot of people. People really enjoyed it. So I continued to have these informal 7 a.m. mimosa breakfasts throughout the CCW event series. And then people wanted more. And I was like, what do you mean you want more? Like, isn't like 1 hour at the end of a conference, like, isn't that enough? And they're like, no, we want more. So we ended up creating a CC Women's Summit where it's an all day summit, 9 to 5, not just an hour, but 9 to 5, the day before, like a pre-conference day before the main conference days of CCW. So we all get together. We have different speakers. We also have different topics that we discuss. And it's just a great time for all women to just come together and talk about and learn about some of the things that are affecting their lives. And it's a great way to build your community. It's a great way to build your network. So, that's how CC Woman was born. And that's where we're at now. And we even have like a website, again, mentioning the website with all the resources and toolkits just in case you can't come to an event. But it was, bottom line, it was born out of my own selfish need.
I love that. No, I mean, build what you need. That's, I think, how a lot of great ideas start. Kind of like me thinking, well, not that this is a great idea, but this came out of an idea of me being like, why is my day so hard? What are other women doing every day, and what am I doing wrong?
But that is a great idea. Now you get to hear, like, you know, even I, like, as somebody who, like, I'm like, are other women going through this? Like, is it just hard for me? Like, but listening to everybody else's like day to days, I was like, okay, it's not just me. It's like all other women are kind of going through something similar as well. So great idea, Ellie. This is a great idea.
Thank you. So Sandy, what is something you would change about your days if you could?
I wish I had more time to do the things that matter a lot, like my hobbies. I wish I had more time to do my hobbies. So I love my job. I love doing CC Women and speaking to other women and listening to their stories and their experiences. And like, I love working with my coworkers. But I just wish that there was like, every day there was more than just like a small moment in time for me, but like a little bit more. So selfishly, obviously, wanting a little bit more of like the small, instead of the small pockets that I have for myself, I wish the pockets were a little bit deeper, maybe like a well that I can dedicate for myself. Because I think also too, even if you have the time, like say like during the weekend, you know, you have you have time for yourself. But I think I'm so exhausted from the week, I want to do nothing. And I feel like sometimes I'm wasting my time by doing nothing, which makes zero sense. But I wish just like throughout the week, I had more time for myself. And I'm sure I can find it somewhere. But just having, if there was anything I could change, I think that would be it. Just more time to myself so that I'm not so tired at the end of the day or tired and during the weekend.
Yeah. I love that analogy of the puddle versus the well, or kind of how you said it, like a deeper well for that time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sandy, how can people learn more about you and follow along?
I am excited for that question because I want to tell you more about more ways that you can learn about me and just CC Women in general. Customercontactwomen.com. Women is plural. We want you to come to our website. We want everybody to use us as a resource and tool. So please come check us out there. We have wonderful content pieces published. We have podcasts that are published. And then we also have our LinkedIn and Instagram. It's CC Women, plural, strong. So come check us out there, see what we're up to. And you can also connect with me via LinkedIn. Feel free to message me. I'm always here, always willing and open to listen to other women and their stories. I think a big part of CC Women is because of our experiences. And if we can share that, we can do some storytelling here. It'll help us be a stronger community together. So check us out on LinkedIn, our website, or reach out to me on my LinkedIn. I would be very excited to connect with you.
Awesome. And then Sandy, what is your favorite part of a day in your life?
My favorite day is after the workday is done and my fiance and I, we sit on the couch and we just talk about our day to unwind. We talk about all the things that happened, the calls that we were on, some things that happened, some things we witnessed, like on our way to the office during our commute. But I think that's my favorite time of the day when we can just unwind, talk about the day, some things that are coming up. But that's a part of the day that I really, really enjoy.
Awesome. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast today. It has been so nice to connect and chat with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me, Ellie. I really appreciate the invitation. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Have a great day.